Hello, my name is Ben McManus, beleaguered manager of Manchester United, and welcome to the Football Manager League Game of the Week for Round 6. It's just me this week, but we'll be looking to turn this into a more regular feature, with hopefully some guest spots up for grabs as we move on. So the first game up is Leicester City versus Southampton, which is a top of the table versus bottom clash in Division 1. It finished 3-2 to Leicester, but before we go into looking at the game, we'll put this match into some context. So Leicester came into this match on a pretty good run of form with 2 wins in a row. We're looking to keep the pressure on Liverpool, Sam Cunningham's Liverpool, of course, the reigning champions, in first place, while Southampton had just literally won their first game of the season in week 5 against Ham United. Leicester lined up with a 4-2-3-1 narrow formation, while Southampton put out a 4-1-2-3 wide, or an attacking 4-3-3 if you like. So on paper, you'd safely assume that Southampton were looking to congest space in the middle of the pitch, hopefully forcing Leicester into something of a more direct game for their defence to just pick up the balls and spray them out wide again for their marauding fullbacks. But crucially, John interpreted the 4-2-3-1 slightly differently and put 3 central attacking midfielders with Bernardo Silva, Isco and Willian from right to left. So this meant that despite fielding a defensive midfielder, Southampton were facing the prospect of Leicester's front 4 lining up against only 3 defenders. But on the other hand, that gives more space for Ryan Bertrand and Hector Bellerin, Southampton's fullbacks, and support the midfield 3, but more of a defensive burden for them. Defensively, for Leicester, they'd need to be aware of the space behind their central midfielders. Southampton's natural shape would mean there's likely to be space for creative players to just funnel in balls into that space behind the forwards, and just take advantage of the hopefully the chaos it would have caused. But let's look at the game. So, first goal, Southampton hit first blood, Paulo Dybala. Leicester were caught in possession in midfield, and a quick ball over the top. I think it was James Ward-Prowse, just straight over that high line that Leicester were playing, and Dybala's pace and that lethal finishing just took care of the rest. 1-0. For goal 2, we had the opposite. Ross Barkley, Southampton midfielder, was caught in possession, tackled by Joshua Kimmich in midfield. Great tackle, by the way. And then with Kempf already going forward from that defensive midfield position, that meant that Smalling and Lucas, the 2 central defenders, were forced to mark 3 guys. So then a clever run from Willian from deep then took advantage of that space between Smalling and Bertrand to his left. He put in a great run, and despite Lucas's best efforts to tackle him, couldn't get near him. 1-1. Third goal, another good run from Bellerin, from Willian, as Bellerin was too slow to react, and he just hit it in back post. John scores goals like that for fun every frigging week. Fourth goal, 2-2 now, is Dybala got ahead of Jesus Vallejo, the central defender, just turning Bertrand from the left. Pretty nice goal, actually. Nice way to tie up a game. Final goal. Southampton. Caught up, desperately trying to attack to win the game. Zivkovic put an utterly shite pass in, hits Tielemans on the back of the leg. So the midfielder all caught on the wrong side of the transition as N'Golo Kante sees it right away, immediately starts his run. Ward-Prowse isn't quick enough to track him. He's following him, but he's not close enough. A classic third man running technique. And then from that, the ball was just beautifully played in from, I think it was Mahrez, just the overlapping run of Seamus Coleman, as the defenders are in disarray at this point. But Balotelli and Willian put in absolutely lovely movement, just completely tore up the defence, leaving all that space for that little run from Kante, and then boom, 3-2, 91st minute, job done. a great win for John, and very much deserved, I'm sure he would say, if he was here. But actually, something I noticed in this game, which I thought was really interesting, was how poor Leicester striker Saido Berahino played. He was utterly isolated for the game. But honestly, in the end, it wasn't really something they had to worry about too much, obviously, with winning. But I just thought he was too central. I looked at the graph afterwards, and compared to, say, Dybala, the opposition's lone striker, he was just always in the middle, whereas Dybala was an absolute case study in leading the line. He held up the ball, he was dropping deep into midfield, constantly moving around. You'd see little movement charts with him popping up on the left, popping up in the right, and obviously he scored 2 goals. He had a great game. Southampton didn't win. But, I just thought it was an interesting observation from the game, and I'm sure it's something John's noticed as well, because he's that kind of manager. But yeah, Southampton 2, Leicester City 3. Game of the week. Now, Division 2's game of the week was West Brom against Aston Villa. So that's Joseph up against new boy Bashiru. Now, we've never picked a draw for a game of the week before, but frankly, pickings were pretty slim in week 5 in Division 2, so the 4-goal thriller at the Villa seemed to fit the bill nicely. Aston Villa came into this game looking to recover from dignity after the, I don't know how else to put it, but infamous Will Backhouse era. Terrible defending, cricket scores, utter arrogance, and a bit of cheating. But hey, we're moving on now. Well, West Brom, just happy to have more than 14 players to choose from. Should be a delight. So West Brom lined up in a 4-3-3, a bit like Southampton before. While Villa chose a more traditional 4-2-3 wide, with one addition. Rather than the flat midfield 2, they elected to field Jordi Clasie in the defensive midfield kind of area, which gave Villa's setup kind of like a little asymmetric shape. All good, but I couldn't help figuring out is that he had that the Villa manager feared the threat of Osa and Jack Grealish, and I don't know, maybe they just thought they needed more defensive cover there, but that's something I flagged as a potential flashpoint in this game, because he'd be up against Claudio Jacob, who I know is a more defensive kind of midfielder anyway, but with all that kind of space, any professional footballer is going to have a good time. But anyway, the movement of the wide forwards for both sides was going to be crucial in this game, as the space ahead of the fullbacks in both of these formations is their main weakness. So let's see what happened. First goal, great movement from Rashford, who was playing in the attacking midfield centre role for Aston Villa. He pulled deep into midfield, and it was clearly being man-marked by Thiago Maia, the defensive midfielder, because he came all the way with him. Quick reverse pass from Rashford. It absolutely unleashed Antonio Valencia, who was the right attacking midfielder. Drove into that space with his pace. And then a great little bit of movement from Damari Gray on the left wing, ahead of a very slow to react to Gamboa in the West Brom defence. And he just scored at the back post. Simple stuff. Oh, I should say, by the way, the first half of this game, nothing happened. It's difficult to really put any kind of spin on that, but yeah, very little happened. 3 changes at halftime from Villa, 3 changes then, 2 actually, from West Brom after that first goal. So yeah, first half not worth talking about, so we're straight into the second. Goal 2, amazing long range shot from Ivor Fossum. What I liked about this goal was it was from a set piece to start with, but West Brom didn't just try and hammer it in the box and quick header in. What they did was they played the ball quickly from right with Gamboa. He crossed it in from the left to the back post. It was headed back into the centre, and that just nicely pulled the defence out of position and allowed him to score the equalising goal for West Brom. Good stuff. So then, moving on to goal 3. West Brom midfield caught far too narrow. Pretty much all 3 guys were stood next to each other. This left Fuchs, the left back, completely isolated against Gamboa, who was overlapping on the right. His driven cross was just stabbed in by Barbosa after Jan Maat, the right back for Villa, was just far too slow to react. It was an absolute defensive calamity, that goal. Which leads us to goal 4. A clever run by Robin van Persie into the left channel, with Gamboa caught so far high up the pitch. I don't know what he was doing there. Van Persie then just had all the space in the world, put in a cross, met by Antonio Valencia, who's coming in from the right. Great substitution, by the way. He got massively lucky with the goal. He hit it well, but it deflected off Brunt and straight past the keeper. And yeah, if I was a West Brom manager, I'd have my head in my hands for that one. That was pretty poor defending, I'm afraid. So, and I'm not sure what to make of the Classy thing. I felt like he did quite well up against Grealish. But when the second half, the changes they made in the second half, when they switched Barbosa onto there, he was much stronger. He had a much better game against Classy, and I thought Classy was pretty anonymous after that. But really, it was the fullbacks being really high up the pitch, which created so much space for both sides. I would like to have seen both managers take more advantage of it, like West Brom eventually did with Van Persie moving into that left channel. In those sort of games, when you're getting tons of space from in front, behind the fullbacks, get your front man in there. Just push him out wide. He'll make space, and then you've got your attacking guys running in from the side. It's textbook stuff. But yeah, that's game of the week, week 6, Division 2, West Brom 2, Aston Villa 2. Thanks for listening. That was game of the week for week 6. As I said at the start, this is going to become something of a regular feature. I hope you all enjoyed it. And you want to hear more, I've been Ben. That was the FM League roundup for week 6. Enjoy your weekend.